let's talk some Tennessee recruiting. Tennessee is getting their most important 2025 target on campus this weekend, and that's Nashville quarterback George MacIntyre. MacIntyre is the number 1 player in the state of Tennessee for next year, and the number 2 player in the state, Cameron Sparks, he'll also be in town. Huge weekend in Knoxville. We'll hit on all that. Plus, South Carolina is working to poach one of the Volunteers' wide receiver commitments. Is that going to happen? Tennessee fans, subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We're about to get this thing cranked up. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Okay, let's bring on Matt Ray from Volquest. Matt, 2025 quarterback George MacIntyre. He's from Brentwood Academy. He released a top 10, and seeing Tennessee, LSU, and Alabama, I don't think that surprised either of us. To me, those are the main players. Now, I just got to remind Tennessee fans, so they can be mad at me, that I put in a prediction for MacIntyre to Alabama. Now, I know it's early, but when he was in studio doing that interview with me, just the way he talked, the way he spoke about Alabama, he left, and I felt like it's Bama. I put a pick in. It's early. But, Matt, where do you see Tennessee in the hierarchy of Tennessee, LSU, and Alabama in this recruitment?
Yeah, I think you're right, Josh. I think it's early, but I think this is kind of a signal for George MacIntyre that he's starting to push this process a little bit faster, starting to slow down a little bit more for him. And as it does, I think this is the core group of schools that stand out to him. Now, obviously, some of these other schools are hanging around, but to me, when you look at where he's been, it's Tennessee, Alabama, and LSU. Those are the 3 common visitors that he tends to get out on the road and see. And I think his 2 best relationships right now are with Tennessee and Alabama. He's really high on Alabama and Tommy Rees. Those, they've connected really well since he took over as the offensive coordinator in Tuscaloosa. But on the flip side, there's a lot of positive things working for Tennessee. He has a strong relationship with Josh Heupel, Joey Halsley, Mitch Militello. Just Tennessee has continued to prioritize him, and he is the top guy on their board. And I think that's something that's working in their favor. When you look at Alabama, Bryce Underwood's still in the mix there, kind of how do things shake out. Obviously, I think if George picked the phone up and called Alabama, I think they would take that commitment. But to me, I think right now, at this point in the fall, it's Tennessee and Alabama somewhat neck and neck as he continues to sort through this process, with LSU probably trailing behind a little bit.
Yep, and a massively important weekend as George MacIntyre, he's already visited Alabama this fall. He's already visited LSU, so now it's going to be Tennessee's chance to host him on an unofficial. It could be a very impactful visit. Now, speaking of impactful, Tennessee also hopes to host Cameron Sparks this weekend. He's the number 2 player in the state of Tennessee. He's out of Chattanooga. Now, the first time Sparks has been back on campus since the summer, how much of a priority is Tennessee making him early on in his recruitment?
Yeah, Cameron Sparks has been a priority for Tennessee for some time. You're looking at a guy that has visited Knoxville since his freshman season. He's felt like a priority. He's, finally got some answers to how he would fit in Knoxville. Tennessee likes him as a wide receiver, and he likes that. There's a certain comfort level there for Cameron Sparks when he returns to campus. This week, being around George MacIntyre, I think makes him even more comfortable. Those two are very close. They train together with Tennessee Select 7-on-7. They play 7-on-7 together in the summer. They've known each other for a long time through AAU basketball. So those two, that's a conversation that's continued to happen is, hey, what if we team up together? And, I think it's big for them to be back in Knoxville together this weekend. But Cameron Sparks is an early priority for Tennessee in the 2025 class.
Yeah, he is. And you can just kind of see it developing now. Tennessee is hoping that George MacIntyre and Cameron Sparks kind of make up that core of the 2025 class. That would be very ideal to get it started that way. All right, we'll see what happens coming out of the weekend. Let's go to some developments that are happening in the 2024 class, Tennessee's current recruiting class. Tennessee wide receiver commit, Brayon Staley, is drawing some interest, as he should, because he's having a really good senior season, and teams are taking notice. Now, South Carolina offered this week, and Staley is from Aiken, South Carolina. It's kind of weird because the in-state team comes with a late offer. But, Matt, what does this mean for Staley and his commitment to Tennessee?
Yes, it's kind of very weird timing, I think, when you look at it. You offer a few days after you get beat by Tennessee inside of Neyland Stadium. But, I think for our subscribers, there was some panic button hit there. But in
Yeah.
talking to Brayon Staley, Austin and I have talked to Brayon Staley, his dad. It seems like they're very comfortable in their commitment to Tennessee. Kelsey Pope, Tennessee wide receivers coach, was out on the road last week to see Brayon Staley on Friday night. Brayon Staley will return to Knoxville this weekend. Right now, I feel pretty confident with where Brayon Staley is with his commitment to Tennessee. If he does end up making a trip to South Carolina, then I think, obviously there's something to worry about. But right now, no plans for that as things stand.
Yeah, I get that. No real concern now unless he shows up in South Carolina for a visit. That makes a lot of sense. All right, last development we need to hit on is four-star running back Daniel Hill officially said out loud what we've all been thinking for a while when he put out a top 3 last night with Hayes Fawcett of Tennessee, Alabama, and South Carolina. Matt, do we know when he's going to make his commitment known, and where do you think Tennessee stands now that we're officially down to a final 3?
In talking to Daniel, I do not get the sense that there's any urgency to get this done.
Wow.
Now, I think it could just happen. I think when he gets to that point, it will happen. He's had that decision timeline in flux for some time. But in talking to Daniel, I don't think there is much of a sense of urgency there. And I think the more that you talk to people and try to weigh this recruiting process out, the more interesting it becomes. I think that South Carolina feels positive about their chances with Daniel Hill. I think Alabama feels positive about their chances with Daniel Hill. And I think there's certain things working for both of those. And I think Tennessee's kind of sitting in the middle. And as I said last time that I was on here, Josh, for Tennessee, the best thing that can happen in this recruitment is for it to continue playing out. As he's trying to, being pulled each way between those two. Tennessee has quietly remained in this. And Jerry Mack has been a very good closer during his time in Knoxville, especially late in cycles. So I think for Tennessee, the best thing that can happen is this recruitment continues to play out, as they're probably the number 2 team for Daniel Hill at this point. It's just kind of trying to figure out, I think which side of his collective group around him, where they want him to go. I think ultimately he's going to make the call. But I think there's some inside of his party that feel more strongly about one school than the other.
See, yeah, I agree with everything you said. I do think that the longer this plays out, the better it is for Tennessee. But I kind of feel like it's 1A, 1B of Alabama and South Carolina, and then Tennessee at 2. Like, I don't even think there's a 3 in this top 3. I think it's 1A, 1B, and then number 2 at Tennessee. So my question to you is, do you think that Tennessee will be able to get him back on campus before whenever his decision is, and is that necessary to land him?
That's the key question for me as well. I think when you look at Daniel Hill dating back to the winter, it's been really hard for Tennessee to get him on campus. He's been there twice, and one being an official visit. It looked like at one point early in this week he was heading back to South Carolina this weekend. He told me last night that that's not the case anymore, that he will not go to South Carolina this weekend. So while, it has felt like they've had some momentum over the last week or so, now they're not able to get him on campus. And this is an open week for him in terms of the high school football season. So how easy is it going to be for anyone to get into campus? I think for Tennessee, I do think you need to get him back to campus, or this needs to go into December to where you can make your rounds and do those in-home visits and have a chance to close in that fashion.
Yep. Well, the recruitment of Daniel Hill is turning into a battle of attrition to see who can stay in this thing the longest. Matt Ray, big weekend in Knoxville. Thanks for dropping by the Inside Scoop. We'll talk to you on Monday and see how things went on this big visit weekend. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that content, be sure to subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We have a new page dedicated only to recruiting. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now.